This is the face of a man, one, who needs to shave. Two, who is nervous. I don't really get nervous when I drive a car. I don't care if it's a $400,000 McLaren, a $25,000 Nissan, whatever, and everything in between. But when someone hands you the keys to the modified version of a vehicle that was always known as the Widowmaker, yeah, you start to get a bit nervous. This, however, once you get to know it, once you get familiar with it, once you realize how wonderful it is, rewards and maybe makes you relax a little bit. This is a 1979 Porsche 911 930, the Turbo, modified by the good folks at Makellos Classics. So, Porsche 930, what is it? It's the first turbo, built from 75 to 89. They made a little over 20,000 of them in total, and it was the flagship 911. For a while, it was the fastest production car in Germany. They started out in the 250 horsepower range. I think the most powerful version you could get from the factory in Europe, there might have been just one that was just over 300, but they were usually to high twos. At least here in the US. They had a propensity to oversteer. You lift off that throttle as you come into a corner, the engine was way out back and it wanted to move around. I spoke to a friend who had an earlier 930, the 4-speed version. It later switched to a Getrag 5-speed, the G50 gearbox. He said he never knew what gear he was in, and if he was in a gear, it was the wrong gear. The chassis was a wet noodle. When it came on boost, it was just ridiculous. However, it looked amazing. It looked exactly how you want a Porsche to look, with the whale tail and all of that. So it was a poster child Porsche. I'm trying to get in my light here. So that car made, say, call it high twos, almost 3. This one makes over 4 to the wheels. So you can, hence my apprehension, like tempered excitement or fear anxiety, or I don't know what the words are, but when you hear numbers like that in a car that has the reputation it had, yeah, you can get a little nervous. However, this car is very nicely sorted. So, let's back up first though. We'll get to engine and all that. Let's talk looks, because this thing looks fantastic. Makellos' vision for this car was kind of a blend of that 2.7 RS style with the later wider turbo bodies, and it's got that gorgeous ducktail out back. It's got the wide stance. It's got the Outlaw wheels, fat Toyo Proxy tires at the corners. The blue paint looks excellent. The blue paint on this looks excellent. I know you can take it or leave it with the number and the Porsche lettering on the side, but it looks pretty badass. This car is an eye-getter, attention-getter everywhere it goes. Even when I took it to the Good Vibes Breakfast Club car show, and it's surrounded by other gorgeous Porsches, people were coming over to see this one. Inside, I like this blue plaid tartan treatment. I think it looks pretty cool. It's something different. My one gripe is someone pointed out to me that this blue is a little bit lighter than the blue of the paint, so it doesn't really match, and then my eyes couldn't see it. But you forget about it once you hop in. This car does get a Club Sport wheel, which is probably worth money in the Porsche community, but I would go with either an old school wood wheel here or a racier Alcantara suede trimmed wheel instead of this Club Sport wheel. It doesn't feel great in my hands. I don't know. I like a thinner wheel sometimes. And then with no power steering, this is an important sensory part of the car. The seats look good. They're one of my biggest gripes of the car. I hate them. You sit on them and not in them. And in a car like this, I would very much rather have a bucket seat or just something I'm sitting down in with a little bit more. I'm riding on top of a very nicely upholstered lawn chair. It's really comfortable, the padding, but I hate sitting on seats. I want to sit in seats. But the rest of the cabin looks great. It even has that retro Porsche looking head unit, but with the display, so it actually has wireless CarPlay, which is hilarious, but also great, because then I can run Waze for directions, and keeping an eye out for the po-po. And then this has air conditioning, so it has some nice stuff. It's a very nicely done cabin. On to the engine. Originally, the early cars were 3 liters, and then they switched for the biggest push of the run, like 18,000 cars, 3.3 liters. This one's been bumped out to 3.5 liters, modified turbo. I'm going to put a picture of the list of everything because it's almost too much to list. So, like I said, over 4 to the wheels. It's paired with a roof 5-speed gearbox, the same gearbox they would have used in the Yellowbird. I guess these gearboxes are crazy valuable. It's a dog leg, so down. So the whole time I'm like, all right, I'm in second, I'm in third. Thankfully, second and third are pretty tall, so you can run them out. I'm just hanging in third right now, so it's not too loud. I could be in second, be up more in the revs, just. And then, big Garrett turbocharger, but it doesn't come on, like, you don't have to wait till 4. I guess above 4 is when the old 930, like, pow. This one, you can feel when it comes on, but it's a little bit more progressive, and then it's good to go. It feels good. Plus, you got big fat tires, and then the chassis is extremely well sorted because this has KW coilovers. It has some Elephant Racing parts thrown at it. Again, it has so many parts. This is a very resto-modded 930. So as you drive it, your fears start to go, oh, shit, we stuck that corner pretty darn good. Now, I took it up Angeles Crest. My local roads here, the canyon roads, they just recovered the fire. I think it's pretty much done now. The off-road trails are going to be screwed for a while. But as I drive this car more, get more comfortable with the gearbox, you start pushing it harder and realize this is very much I'm going to use some of you are going to hate this analogy, and I apologize in advance. This is like you meet a beautiful person, and you're like, oh, okay, yes, they're very pretty. And then maybe you go back to your place or their place, and you start to do what you're going to do, and you think they're going to be shy and cautious, and they look you in the eyes and tell you to fuck their brains out. And this car wants to be grabbed by the scruff of the neck and just driven. And I apologize for that analogy. At least I didn't say, I hate when people used to say, oh, cars are sexy. Like, you don't fuck a car. So I'm digressing here terribly. This car, the more you drive it, the more you realize how much harder you can push it, and it just responds and it gets happier. And it's like, yes. Use those super wide, I think they're 325s out back, when the original car probably maybe had I gotta look that up. I don't know what the original car had. But not 325s, that's for damn sure. It sticks, it goes. I drove it like a baby for the first part of like my few days with it. I've had it for about a weekend. And just driving it more and more up and down Angeles Crest. I drove it to get groceries the other day at Trader Joe's. Just what it's like to live in this car. It is a gorgeous attention getter that is built for people who appreciate it, and it's not cheap. When I asked Matt the price of this car, what they're going to sell it for, I was expecting a bit lower, I'm not going to lie. However, when I took it to Angeles Crest and I was asking the various well-to-do Porsche people up at the top of the hill, what do you think it sells for? They were a little over. So the market is there. The market doesn't make sense to my brain because I can't afford a car like this. The asking price of this car is $430,000. Everyone at the Crest would say, what, about $500,000? I was expecting something in the high 2s, low 3s. the market for stock 930s right now, the 930 market's a little odd because it goes up and down. I think they're running about 90 to up to 180, depending on the quality of the car, based on rig and trailer. So, you know, do with that info what you will. As little as a year or 2 years ago, they were going for as much as high 2s, low 3s. Sorry, just getting through construction. High 2s, low 3s. And some of those were special low mileage cars, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know what the market truly is for these. I just know that, you know, the 930 is revered as the poster child, the original turbo, all that. 430, you could have said we're touching Singer prices, but here's the thing, we're not. Those all start at $1 million now. So this is half the price of that. So does that start to put it into an area where it makes sense? Still, for me, it's hard to justify this. I had a $420,000 McLaren in my driveway, and immediately you're like, yeah, I understand. Here, I'm not a Porsche maniac, so I can see it. The gearbox is worth like $75,000 on its own, and then all the other parts, and it's crazy. So with this, they look at the market. Their goal is to sell cars. They're not going to price it at a price it won't sell. Someone will buy it. It's just when you say the number to someone, $430,000 911, you know, I will say it is such a good looking car. They crushed the look of this one. The stance is perfect. The fat tires look so good in those fenders. I hate the seats. If I was paying $430, I could get them to swap them out. I'm gonna have a talk with Matt when he picks the car up about how much I hate the seats, because he's open to those criticisms, and I appreciate that. But I struggle with the price. I have a feeling this car will soon be sold.